welcome back to another episode of Into the 99 podcast, where we've got 99 cards because Commander is number one. I'm your necromancer with all the answers, Zach, joined by my lovely friends Dan and Lotus. How are you guys doing today?
Doing really well. New year, new start.
Not doing too bad. Busy, but is what it is. How have you been, Zach?
I've been doing well, and like Lotus mentioned, Happy New Year's, guys. If you're listening to this, thanks for joining us for another year and making the past year awesome. You know, we definitely dealt with a lot of different adversity on this podcast, and it's been nice you guys have still been hanging out here and enjoying the ride as we navigate life and all of its trials together.
There's been some changes.
It's always been nice, yeah. It was, I think, for everyone, realistically. It's been a rough few set of years with people's work, people's families, people being sick and stuff. So just hoping everyone's doing well in the new year and that everyone had some good holidays.
Yep. And I hope everyone's being kind to each other as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't bully me. I'm sensitive.
We decided that the first episode back, we obviously took a break last week as well. The first episode back, well, not a break, Lotus did Brewing Live, but the episode we wanted to do is we wanted to go over some of our favorite cards from the new year. From last year. There was just so many things that came out. I'm tired. I'm sorry. We were just talking about anime stuff. I'm a dork, and I was getting all fired up about some Demon Slayer. But no, there was just so many good things that came out last year. We were obviously bombarded with product, which is exhausting sometimes.
It's money fatigue.
But from that, I think all of us have some really, really fun decks that came out of the new year. I really, really liked this year of cards.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it's definitely been interesting Commander decks this year.
Oh yeah, we've built a lot. We pulled up what the release schedule was. So just to quickly remind everyone, we had Kaldheim, we had Time Spiral, we had Strixhaven, D&D, Modern Horizons 2, and then we had both of the Innistrad sets, which Kaldheim seems so far away with how much stuff came out.
Yeah.
Like
I forgot it was this year.
Yeah, I was about to say the same
thing.
Yeah, Kaldheim was definitely pretty interesting, but let's without further ado, let's just get into it and start talking a few of the cards we liked from each of them. And they're not necessarily the best because the best is subjective, but there's just some things that we all really liked from them, and we're going to try fit them all into here because, there's lots to talk about. Zach, do you want to start off with Kaldheim with what you like the most?
Yeah, sure. So it's no secret here that I am the mono black player of the group. So I was looking at it. Every card but two cards on my list of this past year were black or had black in their color identity. So we're going to start that off very strong with a mono black card. We had Turgid, God of Fright. And in case you don't remember what this lovely card does, it's 3 black for a legendary creature god. It's a 4/5 with menace. And whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you may put that card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Then on the flip side, because all the gods from Kaldheim had a flip side, you had Turgid's Lantern, which was 3 and a black for a legendary artifact. You can tap it. Target player loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discards a card. And then you can pay 3 and a black to untap Turgid's Lantern. So I didn't build a Turgid deck, but Turgid went in at like an obnoxiously gross amount of my decks because it's just a very good card. I love stealing things. I love reanimating things. So this was right up my alley. It was 2 of the 3 check boxes I look for in cards.
I've played against Turgid decks, and they're mean. They're very mean.
Mm-hmm.
It put me off building one myself. I don't mind playing against them. I'll play against anything, but they're mean.
I'm playing against them. They're rough.
What really made me like Turgid outside of like the obvious things that I care about is anytime a card will take like a space or take an ability that we take for granted and we get to use it in some fashion, I always get excited. So like if it was just one thing and whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, that already is very strong. But the fact or discards a permanent card, there are so many cards that I just play, like Siphon Mine, for example, that are just in a lot of my decks because I genuinely like that card. So Turgid now has this cool like zone we wouldn't normally think about. Like, okay, so now whenever you discard a card, you really have to think about it. Are you sure you really want to sacrifice that fetch land while Turgid's on the battlefield.
Yeah, losing your lands to Turgid is rough.
I mean, Turgid's the reason I bought so many Homeward Paths.
Mm-hmm.
Gross.
Yeah, so there are definitely outs to this card for sure, but and there's a lot of mean things you can do with it, but I just had fun just using it. The deck that I really loved her in was my Greven deck. Like, I already sacrificed a lot of stuff, and I make people sacrifice stuff in that deck, so I'm getting double and triple value pretty much out of every card that I see on the battlefield, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I thought Turgid was a blast to build. No one I play against likes it, but
nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Dan, what was your favorite card from Kaldheim?
I've got a few that I like from Kaldheim. My honorable mention is Asika, because that's just a really fun 5-color commander to do, like the Prismatic Bridge, like legendary roulette. I really liked that one. Like reminder of it. Its front side it's Asika, God of the Tree, 1 double green, vigilance for a 1/4 god. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Other legendary creatures you control have vigilance and add 1 mana of any color. It's like a tap. But it's the backside that really makes this card shine, especially in foil. Oh, it just looks amazing. Prismatic Bridge is Wooburg. Across the back, it's a legendary enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature or planeswalker. Put it onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom in a random order. This is such a fun deck to play. Like, it's honestly just one of like the most fun things I've had. I just put so many big nonsense creatures in this deck, and I just play creature roulette, and it's honestly just never disappointed me to play that deck. But my favorite for the year, by far, probably my favorite card of the year, is probably my most annoying deck that I've ever made, and it's Orvar the Allform.
Yep.
Yeah, Orvar the Allform, for anyone who hasn't seen it up on YouTube or made an Orvar deck, it's 3 and a blue for a 3/3 shapeshifter. It has Changeling. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets 1 or more permanents you control, you make a copy of one of those permanents, and then whenever a spell or ability your opponent controls causes you to discard it, causes you to discard this card, create a token that's a copy of target permanent. So that's not really what matters. What matters is the nonsense you can do with Orvar.
Mm-hmm.
I remember your one.
Remember how hyped I was about this card, and Dan was like, yeah, it seems good, and then I played it, and I showed the deck, and Dan was like, oh, that's what it does.
Orvar was just such a fun deck to build, and like I love like looping things to get lands. I love a lot of like the what are they, the Glimmer Posts? Is that what they are?
Yeah, the lands that are locusts.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was, oh my god, so much fun.
Yeah, the ones that tap for each locust you control, or I think it's like Weathered Runestone or something that taps. I can't remember. I'd have to look the deck up, but there's
I think it's Power Shard. I think is what
that's
you're
the one.
of.
Yes, where it taps for 1 for each you have. It's just super fun. Getting a Sakashima Orvar out is also very fun. Like, it's honestly one of the most like it's really fun for whoever's playing it. But once Orvar hits the table, he has to die immediately, or it's just such a problem.
Remember the game that we streamed where it was 3 Orvars against Brian?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If anyone hasn't seen it up on YouTube, we did like a secret game, and we didn't tell Brian what we were doing. And I played Orvar, Zach played Orvar, Benson played Orvar, and Brian played Silvala. And we were just having a real laugh in that game. Like it's a pretty fun video. If you ever want to see 3 Orvars, it really was the all form that game. If you ever want to see Brian die early, which everyone does, I think.
It was a good time.
But yeah, no, like I thought that there was a lot of really cool stuff from this set. Those would be my 2 favorite. Like Lotus, what did you like the most out of this one?
Okay, so I have an honorable mention first, which is the World Tree. For a land to have so much utility on it, it's amazing. And anyone that doesn't know, the World Tree enters the battlefield taps for green. As long as you control 6 or more lands you control add 1 mana of any color. And then pay double white, double blue, double black, double red, double green. Tap and sacrifice it, search your library for any number of gods, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Forget that bit. It's the Prismatic Lantern effect. Lands tap for any color. It makes this card a great 5-color card inclusion.
Well, and Maskwood Nexus was from this too, right?
That's what I was about.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. I literally was like, "Oh my god, I put this card in more decks than I think Turgid."
I forgot about Maskwood Nexus until you said World Tree, but I was like, "Oh yeah, everything in my deck is a god. This is my god angels."
Yeah. But even if without that, I love the fact that you have multiple colors that you can use for 5-color decks. But my ultimate favorite card, I would say, was Toski, but it got replaced later on, quite sadly. Was Realm Walker.
Oh, Realm Walker is very good.
Realm Walker was so good for tribal decks as long as they ran green. So 2 and a green for a Shapeshifter 2/3 with Changeling. It comes into the battlefield, choose a creature type. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells of the chosen type from the top of your library. It was insane. I added it to my Simic Kamina Merfolk deck. The card advantage is insane.
Yeah, that's another card. I've done a lot of like weird multi-creature types in like my Grist deck and my Slimefoot deck, like 2 of my other Golgari creature matter types. And yeah, like Maskwood Nexus and Realm Walker were like the unsung heroes because the card advantage you can just eke out with Realm Walker is just great. And it was a good buy a box promo in my opinion. Like
I think so too.
Just a guaranteed like pretty version of a card you're probably going to use a lot.
Yeah, I think every time I've played a tribe and every time it's got green, it's gone straight in.
Yeah, there's no downside because it's automatically the creature the type you're playing with.
Yeah. It's currently sitting in my. It was in my werewolf deck, but it's now sitting in my druid deck.
Look at that! It just goes everywhere.
Yeah,
it really walks the realms.
Also, Valky as well. Valky is just nonsense.
Yeah,
Valky is very much nonsense.
I have to. Yeah, it's the honorable mention of Valky, which the Tybalt flip card is pretty rough.
That's your brother's deck, right?
Yeah, he plays that one for sure because he's a monster.
He is.
I have yet to experience your brothers.
You ever played with
wonderful.
I don't think my decks will stand up.
He's something.
Pretty much when you play with Dan and his brothers, it's like you're just there.
You're just having a good time. I really like the showcase frames for all of these cards, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh yes. It was the wood carving ones that were actually wooden carvings that they just photoshopped on.
Yep.
That was a good touch.
Oh, all of the pathways. I'd be negligent to not mention how much I liked the pathways as a new kind of land.
The flip-flat land.
Yeah, I just absolutely love the pathways. They're beautiful in every version that there is of them.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Going through these, there's just so many good cards. Even seeing things like the Arnie Broken Brow, like that was a funny deck.
Mm-hmm. I've very many times died to Benson's Arnie Broken Brow deck. Very many times. And just out of nowhere too. Like, well, that's commander damage. You got me.
I forgot all about this card as well. Just at the bottom here, we've got the Kaldheim Commanders. Cosmic Intervention, I think, is an amazing card.
You know how I feel about that card.
Yeah. The 3 and a white instant, if a permanent you control would be put into a graveyard from the battlefield this turn, exile it instead, return to the battlefield, tapped under its owner's control. Not tapped, just under its owner's control. And it has Foretell. Foretell was a really cool mechanic. Dream Devourer should have been in white or blue, but I digress.
Well, I still remember when we were talking pre-release spoilers about Kaldheim, and I came up with Toski. And you thought it was like a trash card until I gave you the Voltron style, and you were all over it.
Yeah, Toski was a funny little squirrel commander.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very underestimated.
We go to my version of Ikoria, which was Strixhaven. This is my favorite set by far. I've never in all of Magic enjoyed a set more than I enjoyed Strixhaven.
Really?
Yeah, it's been story-wise, I really, really liked the end of the story with like War of the Spark and the lead up to it and everything like that. There's been some great lore moments, but I just love the flavor of what happened on Strixhaven. I love the cards. I love the new sets of Elder Dragons. Like I can rant for the next hour and a half about how much I like the plane of Arcavios and like the Strixhaven cards. So I will go last on this one. I'll let you guys choose whatever ones you want. There's a few things I've got to mention from this one. So Zach, you want to take it away?
Sure. Before I get into my card, I also want to mention, like, I agree with you. Like, Ikoria is like obviously my favorite set ever now. But the thing I did really like about Strixhaven is the reimagining of the color pie for the guilds, right? Because that was the big thing. Everyone was like,
yeah.
remember how like we were all talking about Lorehold, like Lorehold isn't Boros, and that was such a big deal. And the same thing, like I really enjoyed what they did with Golgari in this set because it was like a life matters thing, and that was a very unique take on Golgari because like we always have life and we always have life gain and weird things like that in Abzan and in green and black. So to have a whole like school centered around, or like I guess a class centered around that in green and black was just awesome. So segueing
exactly
into
really quickly before you do that's exactly why I like it so much. It's what they did with like the colors not being the traditional like Boros, like the Lorehold wasn't just like, oh, here's like some small creatures with haste. Like the Witherbloom wasn't just simply like, let's reanimate something. There's amazing cards in this set. Like, I think that they nailed it. The design team, in my opinion, like 10 out of 10 this set.
So my favorite card from the set is actually a Witherbloom card. It's Calling Ritual. It's 2, a black and a green for a sorcery. You destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less, and you add black or green for each permanent destroy this way. I love this card. It's like it's a board wipe that I don't mind to cast myself because 9 times out of 10 it's going to set off something. Like it's in my Slimefoot deck, and the amount of value that I get, like I'm not only ping the table for a stupid amount of damage, but then I have all this mana to basically reestablish my board state.
Yeah.
So this was my favorite card from the set. There are a lot of other cards I really liked, but this one I just thought was so unique. Like my I guess honorable mention would also be from the same class being Witherbloom, and that's Rushed Rebirth. That card is also super insane. It's black and a green for an instant. You choose target creature. When that creature dies this turn, search your library for a creature card with lesser mana value, put on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle.
Amazing card.
Yeah, it is. I personally thought you'd have chosen Plum the Forbidden.
That was up there. It was very much up there, but my allegiance to Village Rites just wouldn't allow me to pick Plum the Forbidden.
That's fair.
But yes, Plum the Forbidden also, like, it was weird because there were a lot of, I'm a very, like, creature-heavy guy because, like, you know, I reanimate constantly. So there were a lot of creatures I really liked, but this set, like, the instants and sorceries just, like, spoke to me because they were so powerful and they did so many things that I wanted to do in my play style that, like, I couldn't in good conscience not pick one of those 3 cards.
That's fair. Those are good cards. I'm shocked you didn't mention the Harness Infinity.
Oh, the artwork on that.
But I'll be honest, every time I tried to use it, it just didn't work like I wanted to. So like I was very high on it and it kind of slid back. But one of these, every time I used one of those 3 cards, whether it be Plum, Rushed, or Calling Ritual, I was never sad. It always was like good times.
That's pretty fair. Lotus, what did you like the most out of this set?
Okay, so I have 2 honorable mentions, which was Solve the Equation. This was a sorcery for 2 and a blue. Search your library for an instant or sorcery card, reveal it, put it into your hand and shuffle. These effects, when they're in standard, don't see much play, but when you see them like the older versions, they suddenly start spiking to $5-6. So that's one of the cards that I kept an eye on and got a couple, so keep an eye on that one. The other one was Wandering Archaic. A 5-mana avatar 4/4. Whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, they may pay 2. If they don't, you may copy that spell and you may choose new targets for the copy. The reason it's not the number 1 is because I always say, do you want to pay the 2 is a little bit annoying. So the number 1 is a deck that I built and love to bits, which is Gorm the Master Chef. I loved this deck so much. 2 black-green for a 5/3 Troll Warlock with Trample. At the beginning of your end step, create a number of food tokens equal to the number of non-token creatures you had enter the battlefield under your control this turn. Pay 1, sacrifice a food, target creature gains indestructible to end of turn, and tap it.
It's sweet. It's so good.
All right, the rant has to begin now. I'm going off for a few things. Number one, Dragon's Approach is a hilarious card. It's really, really fun to play in Neheb. Having a deck that's like 60 Dragon's Approach is hilarious. I think it's super funny. Cody Vociferous Codex deserves a mention. It's a really, really cool like Cascade card. It's 3 mana for an artifact construct, 1/4. You can't cast permanents, which is a really, really interesting, at least I thought it was interesting, deck building restriction, or you have to find a way to cheat them in. And then it has pay for, tap to add Wooburg. When you cast your next spell this turn, exile cards from top of your library until you get something that's less, like, so you cascade your next spell. I found that to be just a very, very enjoyable deck to play. I didn't think it was super overpowered. I thought it was like a pretty fun one, but my favorite cards from this set, just bar none, are the entire cycle of the Elder Dragons and the Izzet Dean. But like we'll go into the Elder Dragons first. First and foremost, Belladoros Witherbloom is one of my most budget-friendly decks, and it is the funniest deck I play. It is so funny to soul conduit someone. You will never see people get angrier than when you flip their life over, and then they're like at what? It's hilarious because nobody gets it that you're just trying to kill them by killing you. It's such a fun deck. Every time I play it, I'm just laughing the whole time. Like I had the Ayara, the whenever a black creature enters under your control, each opponent loses a life.
Yep.
So I switched life with somebody and put them to 1 and then passed, so that on the next upkeep I got my, for anyone who doesn't know Belladoros, it's 5, 1 black, 1 green for a 4/4 Elder Dragon with flying, which seems pretty heavy. But it has at the beginning of each upkeep, not just yours, each, you create a 1/1 black and green pest token with whenever it dies, you gain a life. And then you have pay 10 life, untap all lands you control, activate only once each turn. So on the turn you cast Belladoros, if you're doing it all with lands, you have 14 available mana because you want to pay that. It's such a fun deck. I really, really like it. And then, yeah, like I got to talk about all the other ones, like the Ink Shield from the precons. Is in my opinion one of the best like hose the table cards. Prevent everything, and for each 1 damage prevented, you make a 2/1. So someone tries to swing out, they do 40 damage to you, you make 80, or you make 80 2/1. It's nuts. So I love that card.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites as well, because I love Arachnogenesis, and this is just one up.
Yeah, is that the one you were talking about, the Arachnogenesis?
Yeah, Arachnogenesis is good. This is better.
Yeah, it's a very, very satisfying card to cast. I've really, really enjoyed that the whole time. But then, like, I've got to talk about all of the other Elder Dragons. Like, Shadrix is a really, really fun political commander that gives you so many options of what to do, like, throughout the game. I really, really like that. My Shadrix deck is my Shady Deals deck. And then the other two are cool, but Galazeth is just annoying. I love Galazeth. Whenever he enters, you make a treasure token. Artifacts you control have tap to add 1 mana of any color. Spend it only for instants and sorceries. They made instants and sorceries Urza. Like, it's nuts.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I thought that this whole set was, like, made really, really well. The commander decks, all of the precons, I thought were phenomenal out of the box products. Like, this was, like I said, I was happy for the year with just with this in general. Strixhaven and everything that came with it is amazing. Like the Doubling Season Commander, Adrix and Nev, like there's just amazing cards. Again, in my opinion, this was my favorite set of the year and my favorite Magic set. It was enjoyable to open, it was enjoyable to play, enjoyable to build around. I have nothing bad to say about this deck, like about this set. Like Zach said initially, I love the color bend of the guilds and stuff, how it's not just the normal, like, Izzet wins, like the Simic had like a lot of new interesting things. I'm in love with this whole plane and all of it. Like I'll go on for hours and hours, so you guys get into the next set here with the D&D.
All right. I'll start off again. The D&D set, when it first came out, I was kind of like, I felt like it was lackluster. There wasn't much that really spoke to me, but it was one of those sets that, like, as time passed and as I kind of like started looking at the set again, I actually found a lot of stuff I did like. So my favorite card from the set is a card that I didn't build a deck around, but built a deck around the, like, what it does. It's not the commander of the deck, but it slots in the 99, and that's Xanthar, Guild Kingpin. It's for a blue and a black for a legendary creature beholder, 5/6, and it reads, at the beginning of your upkeep, choose target opponent. Until end of turn, that player can't cast spells. You may look at the top card of their library anytime, and you may play the top card of their library, and you may spend mana as though it was any mana of any color to cast spells this way. So this card actually went into the commander deck that came out, was one of the commander decks that came out in the D&D set for me, and that's Neolor. Neolor, which I'm gonna have to cheat and look him up because I don't want to butcher how he reads, but it was one of those creatures that, like, I know people wasn't as stoked on as far as it being like the commander, and it's still people's stuff thing. So, like,
the Mind Flare thing,
Oh yeah.
Yep. I'm trying to find it and I can't find it. Give me a second. But so yeah, as far as like just the main set goes, that was like my favorite card, and I got really into playing D&D, not because of that, but just in general. And Xanthar's Guide to Everything adds so much to your campaigns that, like, it was hard for me not to want to pick this guy. So the commander I was talking about that this went in was Neolor. It's 2, a white, a blue, and a black for a legendary creature horror, 3/5. When Neolor enters the battlefield, for each opponent, tap up to one untapped creature you control. When you do, gain control of target creature that player controls with power less than or equal to the tapped creature's power for as long as you control Neolor. Whenever you attack with a creature an opponent opponent owns, you gain 2 life, and that player loses 2 life. So we did a deck tech on this, I do believe. It was a while ago, but it's literally just me stealing people's stuff, and Xanthar does that, and it's sweet. So that was my absolute favorite card from D&D.
Lotus.
So I was super excited with this set. I still am, and I still love it. Yes, the cards are very situational and specific to the set itself, but I do love the flavor and everything and the artwork. There are a few cards that I actually enjoy from this set. Circle of Dreams Druid was one of the cards that I loved. Another Growing Rights of Iklamok for people that shouldn't really be able to afford a Growing Rights. Kaida's Cradle, because that needs to be reprinted. But it's just a 2/1 elf that taps for green for each creature you control. Old Gnawbone, a card that's stupidly expensive, but oh man, is it good. 5 green for a 7/7 dragon with flying. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens. Does green need more ramp? It has it, but
yes, it does.
But my ultimate favorite card is a deck that I'm currently playing now, and I'm enjoying it so much. Is Minsk the Beloved Ranger, because he's red, green, white. A human ranger, legendary creature, 3/3. When he enters the battlefield, create Boo, a legendary 1/1 red hamster creature token with trample and haste. Pay X, until end of turn, target creature control has base power and toughness XX and becomes a giant in addition to its other types, activate only as a sorcery. Anyone that knows me knows that I actually have a hamster named Boo. So it's a bit more personal, so I actually built Boo. We did a Brewing It Live on this as well. There's so many ways you can brew Minsk. It's amazing. You can steal people's creatures, activate its ability for 0, making them 0/0s and killing them after you've abused them. You can make it how I've done, which is Boo Voltron. It's amazing. The politics of don't kill my creature, it's just a little hamster. It's amazing. That is my most beloved card from D&D.
So I ranted before we started about how much I didn't like the D&D set because I love the Forgotten Realms. I thought that they made the set not good. And now looking back at it, there is a lot of good stuff in it, and I'm just negative because of how much I like Strixhaven. Because I'm looking through and like all of the classes, like Cleric class, Ranger class, like all of those were really, really good cards. They put some really, really cool cards into the set, like Druid class, letting you play the extra lands, getting the landfall and life gain. The Cleric class, like for 1 mana, if you gain life, you gain that much +1. That's a really, really good 1-drop. The Wizard class, the 1-drop, you have no maximum hand size. Those were really, really good cards overall, I think.
Yeah.
I think that, like I said, that my negativity just came from, because again, I was really going off about how much I didn't like it. And I still don't really in comparison, but there's like some really cool things, like Volo Guide to Monsters was a really cool card. They gave us some really, really cool uncommon legends, which I always like in sets and stuff like that. Like we got like Gretchen Titchwillow, the 1 green, 1 blue for pay 2 colorless, 1 green, 1 blue. Draw a card, you can put a land into play. A really, really cool mana sink commander that you can build around. Like there was really good stuff in the set. Maybe also it was just the difference of how good the commander decks were, because I thought the commander decks from D&D were also some of the best that they've ever made.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, the dungeon diving one is insane when it's upgraded.
The dungeon mechanic as well was also like, that's really, really fun. Like there is a lot of really, really cool cards, and again, like there's obviously Book of Exalted Deeds is a really, really fun card to like build a deck around. It's fun to like get that combo out where you can make your indestructible land. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the shapeshifter land, they never should have put that in standard. That's kind of crazy.
The Haven.
Yeah. But the set actually wasn't too bad. Like I said, I think I just came off of how much I liked Strixhaven, because I didn't build anything much from the D&D set itself, but I did build a lot and like put a lot of effort into the D&D commander decks. That's really where I thought like went to town with this. Like Wolfgar was an amazing commander to build around. And I like that they took the unset mechanic of rolling dice and officially put it into the game.
Yeah.
In a way that wasn't obnoxious.
Yeah. Like which makes me think that people should be able to play the Pippa Duchess person.
I have that deck built. I play it.
I know you do.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, like Zorn was a pretty cool card. I really like Teleportation Circle. I love ETB.
Oh, Teleportation Circle I played in Standard. It was fantastic. Flickering a potion of healing to draw cards in white.
There you go. Yeah, white has card draw. You just need a lot of luck. Big workaround.
But I completely forgot about Wolfgar of Icewind Dale. That deck was insane. I loved playing him.
Yeah, the double attack triggers was really, really fun. Actually, that's probably the decks I've seen the most, because that was kind of when COVID started to wane out a little bit and people started getting back into the LGSs. And I saw a huge influx of new players, and you saw people playing like the Galea deck. You saw the dice roll. I can't remember his name. The dice roll, whatever. Gruul commander.
Yeah, the dragon dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either. He came straight out. Wolfgar went straight on.
Yeah, Wolfgar was an amazing one. Who's the exile commander as well?
The exile commander.
Prosper.
Yeah, Prosper. Yeah,
Prosper was insane.
Yeah, Prosper was really cool. Like Lotus said, the dungeon deck was really cool. I really, again, I'll just, let me get it out of there. I thought all of the commander decks this year were good. I liked all of them. A lot of people didn't like the Innistrad, like both of the, I thought they were really good decks. I think they're really cool.
I have things to talk about that.
All right. Well, we'll get to them and stuff. Like, I don't have too much to go on. Like, if we want, we can jump back to Strixhaven. I'll talk for 20 more minutes because, it's such a good set.
I mean, it's all right. It's no Ikoria, but it's good.
Ikoria was really, really good too.
I loved it.
Now let's talk about this nonsense.
Let's talk about the actual best set of the year, and maybe the best set aside from Ikoria in quite a few years. And we have Modern Horizons 2. Yes, it's a supplemental set, But if we don't talk about those, I think my head would explode
Nuts
because
cards in it. Amazing.
Yep.
not only did they do us a service in Modern and Commander and any format that cares about fetch lands, but the amount of power that they gave us at literally every rarity. I
forgot that the fetch lands were in this. That's how good the set is.
Yeah. The common sections were good. The uncommon sections were good. There were things that downshifted rarity that was like mind-boggling. It blows my mind. But so we're gonna talk about Modern Horizons 2, and this like Modern Horizons 2 got me into playing Modern again. Like that's how much I cared about the set. And the one card that did that for me is my favorite card of the set, and that's Persist. 1 and a black for sorcery. Return target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter on it. And this card is absolutely insane. It's wonderful. I've put it in, like, you guys already know I play Reanimate in literally every single deck that I play that's black. But it made reanimation, like reanimated decks, possible in Modern. And the cards that we had access to reanimate in Modern were okay, but we also got Archfiend. Oh, what's his name? Is it Archfiend of Despair?
Archfiend of Depravity?
No, it's not Depravity.
It's
Archfiend.
Archon of Cruelty?
Archon of Cruelty, there he is. Yeah. So that was also in in Modern Horizons 2, and that card is insane. It's 6 black for a 6/6 with flying, and whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, target opponent sacks a creature or planeswalker, discards a card, loses 3 life, you draw a card and gain 3 life. These two cards I played so much of because they're so good. And there's just like, I could go on like Dan, like I could go on for hours about how insane this set was, but Persist just is like the one that stands out most to me because any other cheap reanimation spell is good for me. I love it.
Yeah. I have to admit, this set had so much in it. You know, forget the incarnation cycle with grief, solitude, fury, all of them. You had things like Academy Manufacturer. That card was nuts. Ragavan. Ragavan, Urga Saga.
The glimpses. The cycle of glimpses,
Chatterfang was the best squirrel commander I could ever hoped for. But I'm going to say Phantasmal Dreadmaw, because who doesn't like Colossal Dreadmaw again? But no, I think Esper Sentinel has to be the best card for me out of this set. Single white for a human soldier, 1/1 artifact creature. Whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell, each turn, draw a card unless that player pays X, where X is its power. It's white card draw with a slight workaround, but not too ridiculous that it doesn't cause power. It's white's Rhystic Study. It's fantastic.
I mean, we just talked about it a couple weeks ago with my Carador Yamori deck. Like, yeah, Esper Sentinel's in there because it is that powerful. To being able to draw cards, people aren't going to want to pay that one because we're greedy. I'll pay it, but
if you're in like Human Tribal or anything like that, and it's got a few buffs, 1 becomes 2, becomes 3, becomes 4, and then it just is a Rhystic Memora or something similar.
Mm-hmm. Or it's just like too unreasonable to justify to pay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can have your card. I'm not paying 5.
But I absolutely loved the artwork because you had the sketched versions.
Yep.
Like Ignoble Hierarch, the Goblin Hierarch. The sketched artwork in this set was beautiful.
The sketched artwork was amazing, and the etched.
Oh, yes.
Exactly. I hope, like, I really, really like what they've been doing with the. I know a lot of people weren't as hyped about like the double feature, like the black and white stuff with Innistrad. But
I like it. I think it looks really nice.
Same thing for the Kamigawa, like, what are they, neon paints or neon inks, I think is
Yeah.
what they're called.
Again, really, really pretty.
Yeah, I absolutely love that Magic has been doing this so much more for us, because like Dan's a super big collector. I'm a super big collector. Anytime I can have like the option of like, okay, you can get this Arcana Cruelty, or you can get this one, or you can get these 3 different versions of your fetch lands. Like in my modern deck, I had 4 different versions of my fetches I was running because I could.
And yes, you've got the really spangly version, the wide art foil etched, whatever, for like collectors, but it drives the prices down of the basic version for people like me.
That's what I've liked.
And the retro.
Oh, the retro framing. Jeez, there was so much stuff in this set.
And it was like, I felt bad for my friends that worked at my LGS, right? Like, it definitely sucked that they had to be like, all right, well, I'm now having to categorize these cards with retro foil, etch foil, full art, like showcase. But as a Commander player or just a Magic player in general, you guys are right. Like, the prices on those cards were non-existent. Like, you could justify playing. I could justify playing Modern because all these copies of cards were super cheap.
And one thing that this set did, which I think not everyone will agree with me, this set made Modern blow open so much you could experiment with decks. It wasn't just, here's the top 5 decks of Modern. It's, you've never seen this before.
Like I said, there was no Reanimator deck in Modern, and because of Persist and Unmarked Grave, there's the whole, no one believed that food would be a big archetype in Modern.
Yeah,
food is a huge archetype. my buddy's playing Esper Stoneblade right now, using Esper Sentinel as like one of his main beaters for Batterskull.
Oh, nice.
That feels awful, right? You already don't want to pay the mana in Commander. You want to pay, no one's going to pay the mana in Modern.
Oh, what was that? What was that stupid in Artifact? The 7/7.
It was not stupid.
No, I don't mean it. I don't mean stupid as in it's. I mean it's just powerfully dumb. But that made Stoneblade, Stoneforge Mystic rocket again.
Soul of. No, was it Soul?
You know the one, the 7 mana.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, because it's the complete. It's the sword, the shield, and the helmet.
Cauldra.
Yeah, Cauldra complete. Yeah, there it is. We got there together. Had to hold hands, but we got there.
Yeah, sorry, Dan. We've kind of blocked you out of this conversation. What's yours?
I have too many things to talk about in this. Number 1, Sarah's Emissary. That card's amazing. Never should have been printed. It's too strong. The 4 triple white, as it enters, choose a card type. You and creatures you control have protection from the card type. Nuts card. Yeah. It's just silly. Ragavan obviously has to be mentioned. The Silly Monkey is crazy. It's such a fun card to make things like Chatterfang is a really, really cool card. But for me, a lot of my favorite ones are obviously Ignoble Hierarch, as I'm scrolling through the list as well, because I really, really like that. I love the Noble Hierarch kind of land things that open up, and it's pretty cheap right now, so it really does let people ramp a little better on a budget. But for me, Tireless Provisioner is just an amazing card.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't remember it, it's the 2 and a green Elf Scout 3/2. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under control, create a food or treasure token. That's amazing. First off, that's just a wonderful card. It goes super, super well with the Lannis Cryptozoologist deck. That's that's my favorite card overall of the set. Spoiler alert, I'm not there yet. But I really, really like Terramorph as well. It's an uncommon from the set. It's the 3 in the green. Search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle, and it has rebound. So I really, really like the ability to shuffle twice. It gives you the same... I just love it. And it makes it so it's not tapped either way. So you get your second land a turn later, but if you have another 1-drop, like if you can get a Terramorph off and then you still have like a Llanowar Elf in hand or something, it's a really, really good card. Really like it. I also really, really like Ornithopter of Paradise. I think it's a great color-fixing card. I think it's a really cool 2-drop. But yeah, my favorite of the entire set. Like, and again, this one's a monster set. Like, there's so many things that are in it, but it is Lannis. Lannis was just very fun to build. I love clue tokens. I love having the mana sink to draw cards. Lannis is the whenever another token enters under your control, you investigate, and then you can sack X clues. Target opponent reveals top X cards of the library. You can put an online permanent with mana value X or less onto the battlefield. Then they shuffle. I really, really like Lannis. It's super fun to play. The Academy manufacturer that you talked about really sets that deck off like in a problematic way.
Yeah. I'm just literally flicking through it again. You've got Dragon Rage Channeler. That card is absolutely nuts.
Like I said, every rarity had amazing cards. Like Dragon Rage Channeler being, I think it's an uncommon, just blows my mind because it has rare energy. Super hard.
What was it? Sojourner's Companion, a common that was so good it got banned in Pauper.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yavimai's Cradle of Growth. That is also just an amazing card.
I forgot that was in this.
Urza Saga as well. The land also phenomenal as a land, but not as much utility. But Yavimaya Cradle of Growth is an amazing card, and I really want them to make a mountain one. I know they said they're not going to make a mountain one, but come on, I want a Valakut.
And then the reprints in this set, putting Counterspell into Modern, reprinting just some good cards like Mariri's Wake. Just flicking through. Cabal Coffers was reprinted in this set.
For so long, I kept trying to make my Karador Yamori deck work, and I could make it work before this set, but after this set, I had all of the like creature utility that I needed, like Ravenous Squirrel, help with creature draw, Ornithopter Paradise, help with my color fixings. I'm in 3 colors. There's just so much that like this set gave me that deck could finally be finished to a point where I can keep up with people and not worry about it.
Yeah, this should have been Commander Masters too.
Out of Time was another amazing card too. The one that phases all creatures out. I really, really liked that one. But one of my favorite artworks of the set is the alternative artwork of Sword of Hearth and Home. I really, really like that sword. It does everything I like in a card. It fetches you lands, it blinks creatures, and it's one of the swords. Like I just really, really liked that card. I thought it was a really cool inclusion.
So if we want to talk primarily art, there is one of 2 correct answers, Dan. I'm sorry. It's either Persist because it's a Kithkin, or it's Rise and Shine because it's literally a book with a pocket knife.
Oh, it's all Sword of Hearth and Home. That's beautiful.
It's the wider alternate art Solitude where Blightsteel's being exiled.
That is a cool one too. The big hole through the Blightsteel.
Yeah, that one is stunning. Or the Solven of Sea and Sky wide art. That is amazing. To be fair, all the wide arts are, and the sketches. We're going on forever about this.
That's what I was saying. This is a set we could easily talk about because it did everyone but standard players got something from this set. And a lot of standard players were like, oh, I'm going to play Modern now because I can. So yeah, Wizards, Modern Horizons 3 like tomorrow, please, because
also one last thing, I didn't mind Soul Talisman.
Yeah. Oh, I play that.
Yeah. Everyone hated on that card. They're like, oh, it's too slow. It's fine.
It's just fine. It's just fine.
Yeah. I like it.
All right, so back to our
standard. Wait. I also liked Abundant Harvest. That's a really good card.
Yeah, Abundant Harvest is very good.
All right, let me get out of there. Let me get out of there.
All right. So back on track. We're back on our standard sets. After that, if I'm correct, we went into Midnight Hunt, which everyone was thrilled to go back to Innistrad. I could probably keep going back to Innistrad and be happy. Innistrad was my favorite set before Ikoria. Now I just want every set to go back to Ikoria because I want more. I need more Mutate. But
Ikoria was an amazing plane.
Oh God, I need more Mutate in my life. Like, so much more.
Oh God, yeah.
But this set was phenomenal. They did a really good job story-wise, art-wise. Like I said, we got those cool double features. I don't know if that's what you want to call them, but like the black and white versions of the cards that were like a different art. And it wasn't a sketch variant. It was literally just like a black and white comic book variant. Like it reminded me of reading like Tales from the Crypt or reading like Creep Show. I was super, super into the feel of how they were like promoting this set. But my favorite card from this set is Giza Glorious Resurrector. 2 double black for legendary creature, human wizard, 4/4. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. At the beginning of your upkeep, put all creature cards exiled with Giza, Glorious Resurrector onto the battlefield under your control. They gain Decayed. A creature with Decayed can't block. When it attacks, sacrifice it at the end of combat.
Yeah.
Love this card. It's so cool. Once again, I didn't build a deck around it, but she's went into the 99 of a lot of my decks. I do, I like a lot of reanimation and like making people sacrifice stuff. So,
see, I did build it as a commander and did a Brewing It Live about it. And
I do remember that.
Man, she's disgusting to play with. I loved her so much.
Yep, it was really cool. Like they did a very good job of going from like taking a character and showing her showing their evolution through like the planes, because most of the time we'd get a character and they would slightly, if it was the same character, they would slightly change, kind of like what we see with planeswalkers. But I feel like this is such a like huge like difference in cards. Like playing this Giza versus the other Giza, you're not going to play the same deck. Like like the other Giza leans so heavily into zombie tribal, while this one's like whatever you want to do, really.
Excuse me, it's your deck tribal.
Yeah, it's our deck tribal. So Lotus, what do you got for this set?
I have 3. I have to talk about 3. The first one is Tovalar Dire Overlord. 1 red-green for a human werewolf, 3/3. Whenever a wolf or werewolf you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more wolves and or werewolves, it becomes night. Then transform any number of human werewolves you control. This is the werewolf commander we've been waiting for.
Yeah, I know.
It affects the new and the old werewolves. It draws you cards. I've been playing this deck now since it came out, and wow, is it powerful.
I just want to believe that Wizards is really listening to people. I know they get, I know Magic players like to complain, a lot. It's one of their favorite pastimes. But when you look at everything in, a year in recap like this, there's so many things people have been asking for, and things that people realize they hadn't been asking for but wanted that we got this year.
Yeah.
A genuine good werewolf commander is, insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people build him, and it's always been fun to play. The other one, I'm going to drop down rarity to an uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
This card, I don't think many people have noticed, which is Moon Silver Key.
That's one of the ones on mine. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, 2 mana for an artifact with 1 tap and sacrifice it. Search your library for an artifact card with a mana ability or a basic land card. Reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle. So go get your Soul Ring, go get your Chromatic Lantern,
your Crypt, your Vault,
Crypt, Mana Vault. Yeah, there's so many cards you can get with this, and it goes in any deck.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good.
But my ultimate favorite card from this set is a deck that I'm still playing and absolutely loving, and it's Slogurk the Overslime.
Slogurk's awesome.
Yeah,
the alt art for that is so good, good.
It's amazingly good, and watching people's face while they're watching me play it is impressively funny, because I'm basically trying to sacrifice as many of my lands as physically possible, to the point I have an enchantment that says all my lands tap for double, but when it enters the battlefield, sacrifice all your lands. And I just love the interaction with this deck. You can't kill Slogurk, because if it leaves the battlefield, you get more lands back. Not dies, not exiles, when it leaves the battlefield. I love this deck.
That is very cool. Yeah, that is awesome.
Slogurk, I felt like I built it, and I felt it's very easy to overtune. Like mine, it's really easy to, when you're building a Slogurk deck, be like, I'm gonna recur strip mine and make no one have lands. And that's kind of where mine went. So mine hasn't been as fun.
Oh, I didn't put any land destruction in it. I only put self land destruction in.
Well, sometimes you gotta strip mine people.
Wow.
Yeah. The ones that I've liked the most from this year are obviously like the Blob Magoyf. Consuming Blob was just an amazing card. I thought it was hilarious. The fact that it is a Tarmogoyf, like for more mana, and then it like keeps making copies that are like also kind of Tarmogoyfs. I love that mechanic. I think it's super cool. Liar is really, really fun. I actually just made a Liar deck, and it's just super, super fun to play around. The spells can't be countered, and all of your instants and sorceries have flashback. It's a very fun, kind of reminiscent of Kess, but like yeah, like I really, really like that one. Renin 7, I thought was an amazing card.
Renin 8. Is it Renin 8? Renin 7?
Yeah, it's Renin 7. I got this one, Lotus.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, Renin 8 is when we go back to Innistrad.
Right.
Just for me, it's entirely the 0 ability. Renin 7 has a bunch of really good abilities, but for me, it's the 0 ability of put any number of lands from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. There's a lot of decks that I have that benefit from that. I love landfall kind of stuff. It is really, really fun to Storm Cauldron so that everyone has to pick their lands up, and then you can just keep. Yeah, Zach, it's
You're a bad person.
My not Tuvasa. What is it? Tatiova? Yeah, my Tatiova deck is annoying, but like that's the only deck I have Cycrypt in. I hate Cycrypt. I really, really liked Seraph. Seraph is like a really cool card. The other tapped creatures you control have Death Touch. Other untapped you control have Hexproof. And then the ability to untap. I really, really liked that card overall. The Sludge Monster I think is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And then where was my favorite of the year? I know that it was down here. Oh, it was Catilda. Not favorite of the year, but favorite of the set. I loved Catilda. I thought Catilda was a really, really cool card. The turning all your humans into mana dorks of their color identity. I love that ability. It has a mana sink where you can put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. I found Catilda just really, really easy and satisfying to build. I had a great time building it. I have a great time every time I play that deck. It's super fun to Primal Surge in.
I could see that, yeah.
See, I built Kyler instead because Kyler was amazing.
Kyler's really cool, but mana dorks are just like it turns everything like just like junk cards into like, and then Rem's really, really fun. I have like a Rem Carolus like Kamikaze deck that's very, very fun. I just think it's such a silly looking card. No, I thought that this was actually a really well made set. I really liked the day and night mechanic, like things that were on the Celestis, like Vadrik, like you said, Tovolar. I have a werewolf deck. I put together a Tovolar deck. Haven't played it a single time. I'm not flipping all those cards. I'm not going to be a part of it. Every time I think about it, I'm like, oh, this would be really fun because it looks like such a fun deck. I'm like, I'm not flipping these cards all day.
Yeah, I don't blame you, dude.
It's a lot. There's so many. There's like 50 werewolves in the deck. Everyone knows I like to try to get as many cards as I can out. It would never work. I don't know. I haven't actually brought it to the table yet.
You should try it at least once.
There's just so many flipping. I'll be calling slow play on myself. I did love what did you call them, Zach? The blacked out versions?
I don't know if they refer to them as the double feature or not.
The double
Eternal
feature.
Night.
Eternal Night.
I think it's Eternal Night. Where they're black and white. I can't remember the name. I know if I say like if I go to my LGS like, hey, I'm looking for this card, but I want the black and white version, they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So. I think they all look really, really cool that way. I really, really like the Rem one of that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just love that stuff so much. I'm so glad that Wizards gave us something like that.
And the lands are beautiful.
And then the honorable mention is Teferi Who Slows the Sunset, because that was just a very good card.
Oh my god, can I talk about the basic lands for a second?
Please.
So, you might not know this, you might know this. My favorite band's the Black Dahlia Murder, right? Absolute favorite band, been my favorite band for as long back as I can remember. Dan Mumford is the artist who does a lot of their work. Dan Mumford has done some work for Magic. But with Innistrad Midnight Hunt, he got to do the black and white lands, and I have been slowly picking up every single Dan Mumford land and switching them out of my commander decks to put those in. They are beautiful. They're so cool. It made me so happy when I saw that. I could tell it was his art, and I was like, no way. And I saw that, I lost my mind. I was excited about this set, but when I saw that was the whole reason why I bought boxes, so I could just get those lands. Like, oh god, I just love when they do that kind of stuff, and I want them to do it more and continue to do it. Everyone stopped complaining about it.
Kamigawa is my set for full art lands.
That's fair. That's fair.
I
I'm a
love the
simple
blacked out
man.
lands. I think they're very annoying to try to see across the table of what you have untapped. Hilarious. I play them in as many decks as I can. I love them, but they are undoubtedly annoying.
Yeah.
I have no complaints. Like, whatever. But I'm pretty easy to get along with as long as you're not exiling my graveyard. I typically don't have an issue with you.
Yeah, you don't really care what's going on as long as you can keep your
So
graveyard going.
that's why you have an issue with me constantly.
even if I play a deck that doesn't play out of my graveyard, which I have a few of those, like, don't exile my graveyard. It's just rude. Speaking of graveyards, we're moving on to the last standard set of this past year. And that's Crimson Vow. So this is another set that like brought us a bunch of stuff I don't think anyone was asking for, but super happy to get. The new legendary creatures were awesome. There's a lot of just really unique things for this set. I really enjoyed it. The card that I'm going to talk about, I did a deck tech that had it in there, and I love everything about it. It's Necro Duality. It's 3 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever a non-token zombie enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of that creature. I put this in my Runo Stormcroak deck, so it's literally in a deck with what people would assume would have sea creatures in it, but instead I make everything a zombie, and then I just have multiple copies of everything that I'm doing. It's very convoluted, but it works and it's fun.
Yeah, that did confuse me, that deck tech, until we got to the point of everything.
Yeah, but once we started to get through, it was sweet, right?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I see what you're doing.
Took you a minute to get there, but you got there.
They're like, why is there rooftop storms in this deck? I said, oh, just you wait, you'll see.
Let me tell you, buddy, you don't want to know.
Yeah, even the commander decks that we got, like, was it this set or was it last set? Or was it in between? I don't know. The 2 commander sets we got were also sweet for Innistrad. Or 4, whatever there was. I don't know. 2, I think.
I think there's 2 each.
Yeah, 2 each.
So
Maleficent was really, really cool. I really liked the Spirits one.
Will Wright, the zombie guy. I have that deck, and that deck is so sweet. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I really, really like the partners that came in both. Oh, and I like Donald a lot too. Donald's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But like my favorite one of this one, no comparison. It's Toxrill. That's the funniest card to play. It's hilarious. It's not. If anyone has creatures, I haven't seen them have fun. Toxrill's hilarious. The beginning of each end step, put a slime counter on each creature you don't control. Creatures you control get -1/-1 for each slime counter on them. And then whenever a creature you don't control with a slime counter on it dies, create a 1/1 black slug. And then you can sack a slug and draw a card. I love everything about this card. I think it's hilarious to play. It is high cost, and it's high cost for a reason, because once it's out, it's so hard to deal with. It's such a stupid card, and I'm in love with it.
What makes me giggle is I'm already planning a standard deck with the ninja that gives everything ninjutsu and putting a Toxrill into play.
Hilarious.
Yeah, this is another creature that screams Turgid. Like,
Yeah.
Yep. Another
a sludge monster that works with it, giving all the things with slime counters no abilities.
Yeah, I like that one. A fun fact that I saw on Instagram, I think it was Liliana the Veil who posted it, that the Hullbreaker Horror is the thing in the ice.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's cool. I can see that.
So if you look at like the thing in the ice and stuff, it's like the same artwork. And Hullbreaker Horror is it's a rough card to play around. Number 1, can't be countered. Number 2, has flash. It's a 7/8 at 7 mana. Those are already good stats. Then whenever you cast a spell, choose up to 1. Return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, or target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. It does a lot.
I won't say it's a better Tidespout Tyrant, but it's as strong as Tidespout Tyrant, and I played some Tidespout Tyrant in my day.
It's really cool. A card I also really, really liked was the Hallowed Haunting. I loved that card. The 2 double white, as long as you control 7 or more enchantments, creatures you control have flying and vigilance. Whenever you cast an enchantment, you get a spirit token with its power and toughness are equal to the number of spirits. It's really, really good for enchantment travel. I really, really like it. Its cost is great. Its effect is great. Like I just loved that card. I thought it was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like these 2 sets had a lot of amazing things in them. I just like, once again, that everything that I basically want to buy, because we get multiple like variants of the cards, I can get them for the cheap, and I like the cheap.
Yeah.
There was an issue I did have with this set, and that was the commander-specific cards that you could only get in set boosters or collector boosters, like the Wedding Ring.
Yeah.
The Wedding Ring is a fantastic card. I played it in my commander decks, and man, it draws you cards. Especially if you shove it on a blue player that's got Heuristic Study or something ridiculous. But that was the only thing I didn't like about this set. But you had things like even commons like Reckless Impulse were amazing. Robe of Stars, 1 and a white for an artifact equipment. Quick creature gets +0/+3, but Astral Projection. 1 and a white, equipped creature phases out.
That's from, I don't think that's from this set.
Oh, is that not from that set?
No,
it's not. That's from
the Gallia deck.
But that was another one I wanted to mention. But I'm skipping things here. I've just got a list of cards and I'm just running through them. But Ava Brook Caretaker.
That was a great card.
Forget that it's a werewolf, but the fact that at the beginning of combat, put 2+1 counters on another target creature you control, and on its werewolf side, all other permanents get hexproof. That's
It
powerful.
also has hexproof too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then at the beginning of combat, put 2/1 counters on each creature you control. Love it. By invitation only, I think is a great card. I think it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the SAC 13?
Yeah, choose a number between 0 and 13. Each player sacrifices that many permanents. That pairs well, or that many creatures. Permanents would be nuts. That pairs super well with Turgid.
It pairs even better with Negan, but
Yep.
RIP, buddy.
Gone but not missed.
By you.
That was a good deck. That deck was well built, is all I'll say.
That was the meanest deck I think I own.
I really liked the Dracula frames in these two. I thought they were really cool.
Yes. Once again, Wizards, keep doing this.
Dollhouse of Horrors is the last one that I wanted to talk about in this one personally. The 5 cost, pay 1, exile a creature from your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 0/0 construct in addition, and it gets 1/1 for each construct and gains haste till the end of turn, activate only sorcery. That's a great card. The
Nice.
reanimation ability at 1, they buff each other. It's just a great card.
And let's not also forget some of the artwork of Sorin the Mirthless.
Yeah. So
What is Castlevania artist did one of the variants, and man, it's beautiful.
I am a huge Metroidvania fan when it comes to video games and roguelite stuff. When I saw that, I have no need for that card, but the nerd need to own a piece of art that one of my favorite artists has done from a video game. It was just
It's the same as that Liliana from War of the Spark, the Final Fantasy artist. It's
the crazy hair.
Yeah, it's stunning.
I love that. Was something I also didn't know. I didn't realize. I don't know how I missed it, but I didn't know that the we were going to get Dracula art for a very long time. So that was something when I saw, I was like, this is such a cool thing. And I really just want them to keep doing that kind of stuff. So many people complain about it and I just don't get it, because if you don't like it, just whatever, just get rid of it. Most people, there are people that are going to want it. Commander players, we love variants on our cards. So give me what you don't want, whatever.
Well, I'm building Edgar Markov because I just got my Judge Foil and I'm I want all the Dracula variants.
Yeah, why not? It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
So do we have any more to talk about as far as this set goes? Because if not, we have a honorable mention set to get into.
No, you can go ahead with that one. Like I said, Strixhaven for me was the set for the year, but I thought that there was just amazing cards in a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. As far as standard sets, I would say Strixhaven for sure. Although Modern Horizons 2 definitely. I think just
the value was there. The value was there. It's undeniable how good that set was.
It's nice. It's nice when Wizards can give us a set that makes everyone happy. That's hard for them to do.
Yeah.
All right. So Lotus, did you have anything you want to add to that before we go into this last set?
No, this year's been absolutely phenomenal for everything from modern, I dare say Pioneer, but it doesn't exist at the minute. But Commander, yeah, this year's been fantastic so far.
I do have one
so
other thing
far
to say.
it's done,
I do have
but,
one other thing to say. I liked the cleave mechanic. I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
I generally do.
it was neat. They took another mechanic and put it into standard, in a black border, I should say. I keep saying standard, but a black border, and I like that. I that's another thing I just hope they keep doing, because there are so many card games that exist right now that have a lot of really cool mechanics, and it's nice to see when Magic either has done it better or has adopted it, or they've started it and other people have found ways to continue that on. So like, yeah.
One thing that I love most about the cleave mechanic is something that Commander players love: a spell that has options.
Mm-hmm.
The more options on one card are better than just a normal card.
Yep, love modal. That's why people, I think, liked, what is it with people do it with Psychriff all the time because they pay the
Overload.
Overload, yeah. Overload was the same way. Like, you get to replace all these instances of these words, and yeah, modal spells are just always great for us.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. So this last set, I'm going to say, is like honorable mention for us because it's a set that's already existed, but a lot of the cards in this set were kind of expensive for a very long time. So once Time Spiral Remastered actually got out and we were able to open packs, a lot of things got to a very, very reasonable, if not like unreasonably cheap, like place, and it was really nice. So for me, a card that I was really, really hyped about that they put in this set that was in the set originally was Swarmyard. I hadn't had a copy of Swarmyard, and I had just recently built my Grist Relentless Rats deck. So having a Swarmyard to be able to play in that deck was just phenomenal. If you don't know, Swarmyard taps, it's a land, and it taps for a colorless, or you can tap it to regenerate target insect, rat, spider, or squirrel. There are a ton of powerful cards, but this is a card that I've always wanted to find a use for, so it just kind of timed up perfectly, getting Grist and then getting Time Spiral Remastered and all that. But there's a ton of like amazing things from this set that we got reprinted and made affordable for all of us.
Yeah, Damn being one of them.
Yeah.
Damnation, sorry. Was that reprinted in this set? Yeah, Damnation.
Yep. It's such a beautiful, beautiful card.
I didn't actually buy any Time Spiral Remastered. I have a big old collection, so for me, I didn't really get into it, but I do know that I saw a lot of people having a great time opening it.
Mm-hmm. I was very excited because I kind of lucked into a box. My LGS had one, and I had enough store credit where I could make it like a reasonable purchase. So I got it, and my box was a lot of fun. I love opening. It's like a nostalgia thing where like I wasn't playing during Time Spiral, so the ability to open like sets from that, or from a time I couldn't play, and now have a better appreciation of these cards is always exciting. So it was just fun for me. Like being able to open up a Swarmyard and put it in my deck was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it made cards more accessible. Like Urborg's now cheaper because of it. Triadaba.
I know it's going to sound silly, but Safi, Eric's daughter, has has new art, and literally before this reprint, it was like $10 to $12 US, and after the reprint, it went to like some change. I bought out my LGS of Safi. Like from that set, I think they had 10 in at the time, and I bought all of them because they were dirt cheap, and she's a phenomenal card.
God, the amount of slithers we got in this set as well.
Mm-hmm.
It just made like...
Oh yeah, we
got the Slither Legion.
Yep.
But it was mostly, we got a load of common ones, because I'm doing a Pauper League at my LGS, and I actually play Pauper Slithers, and the amount of ones that came from this set is amazing.
Yeah. It was a very like, I didn't know how I felt about a remastered set, because like we haven't really had that happen, like, so I wasn't sure if it was worth it, but after like opening it and seeing what it did for the market, like I would be super down for them to do more of this kind of stuff. Like, could you imagine like, I don't know, like a Dark Steel remastered or Mirrodin remastered or something, you know what I mean? Some sets that people like really like that people who are playing now might not have had access to because they weren't playing or they were like 5 when it came out.
Yeah, those sets really need to be remastered or something to let people experience it.
I really think it set a very like interesting standard for the game, you know, like being able to remaster set, people enjoy it, you know, whether you drafted it, opened it, or just got the singles from it. Like it was another thing that I think was good for everyone, and it didn't affect it really didn't affect the overall prices of a lot of cards. Like Damnation is still an expensive card, Cabal Coffers is still an expensive card, Urborg is still an expensive card. They just like at the time they were cheaper. That's kind of how it always goes.
Yep.
It was a great draft environment as well, I have to say.
Oh, I bet. I don't draft, I just open.
I also just open cards like an animal.
You
See,
animals.
I don't open cards like an animal, though. I look at every single card. I separate them in commons, uncommons, rares, because I am notorious for going through my collection every time I start to build a deck and try to use as many commons or uncommons or whatever weird cards from my collection as possible, because that's fun for me.
Yeah, get use out of the cards that you don't normally play with.
So I'm always like, hey guys, do you have any village rights you don't want? I can never have.
That's just reminded me the mythical archive cards from Strixhaven.
Those were really cool.
And the Japanese mystical archives, which were beautiful.
God, were they?
That demonic tutor is still insane. It's not my favorite of the arts, because I'm a sucker for Tezzeret, so Tezzeret's Gamble is my favorite of the arts, but they're all phenomenal.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think all in all, this year, whether it had been a standard product, a supplemental product, Magic as a whole, I think had a lot of really amazing things going on. The stories that we were getting for Magic were great. I think did Arena come to mobile this year too? Or was that last year?
I think it was this year as well.
It was, if not at the beginning, just before.
So we had so much stuff going on, all the new content, all the new people that are like promoting Magic, whether you like Post Malone or you like those kind of like people. These are people helping to bring more people into the game, which ultimately gets us more product in the long run and gets us to reach a larger audience, which means we get more stuff. You know,
it has been awesome seeing more and more new people flock to the game.
Yeah. With the secret lairs, bringing people in from other franchises, even though people disagree and hate it, there is going to be those people.
I'm telling y'all right now, I ordered my Stranger Things secret lair, and as long as they keep doing this stuff, I'm gonna keep buying it because I like that stuff.
I think it's looking pretty cool. That seems pretty fun to play around all of them.
Yep.
That Mind Flayer, it's going to Neolore. I'm going to take more of your guys' stuff. But I'm not going to pay like 9 mana or 12 mana for him. He's coming out for 1.
I'm pretty excited with this year's release schedule as well. Like just as like a closing note here, for the Demon like Crime set, I think that's really cool. The 3 color sets, yeah.
Oh man, that one.
Kamigawa also everyone seems pretty hype about. Like obviously, it's a popular plane, so it'll be cool for people to be going back there. But yeah, just overall, like I think that Magic is in a good place right now.
So yeah, we've got from February. Well, we got Commander Black in January the 28th.
God, Niles Ham did reanimate in that set. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It is gorgeous.
Then we have Kamigawa Neon Destiny. We have Unfinity, which looks amazing. Streets of New Capena. Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. I know Dan's excited for Dominaria United and the Brothers War.
I'm excited for all of them, but the Dominaria anniversary is the 25th anniversary of Magic. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is it 25th or 30th? It's 30th.
It should be 30th.
Yeah.
Dominaria was the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you've got Universes Beyond, Warhammer 40k, Commander decks.
This year's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm very excited for the Streets one. I can't remember the name.
Streets of New Capena, yeah.
I know a little bit about the story right now, like what they've showed, and man, you telling me we got crime lords as demons? Sign me up.
I'm hoping it's the other half of the cycle of the triomes.
That would be nice.
That'd be a great spot. The triomes are awesome.
So we'd get the shards.
Yeah.
So that's a funny thing, right? For the very longest time, all we got were shards, and since then we've been getting, what are they referred to as, wedges?
Yep. The four
so
color.
It'd be no, just the opposite.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Threes. So instead of getting instead of getting Jund, we get like Mardu or whatever. I don't know what you want to
I know
correlate to, but it'd be nice to see like because I haven't got my Alara Reborn set again. You know what I mean? And I would love to see the shards from Alara come back into Magic. We normally see them in commander sets, but it'd be great to have a standard set again where it's like, oh, you have this Grixis demon that's a Kingpin of this area.
Yeah.
We are ranting though, so we will wrap it there. Let us know what your favorite cards of the year were. If you had some different ones or you think we missed anything, definitely let us know. Zach, let everyone know where they can find us.
You can find us at insta99.com. That's our one-stop shop for all things Insta99, whether it be merge or where to find our things. You can join our Discord, which is just us talking constantly to everyone. Lotus, do you want to talk about Brewing It Live?
Yeah, Brewing It Live, which after the holidays is now going live once a month again. Tika's Dragon will be on with me on the last Saturday of January to brew something from Kamigawa.
All right, that's all we got. Thanks for joining us, guys. Have a happy start of the new year.
Yeah, happy late New Year, but Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year. Be safe and kind to everyone.